All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. My name is Beth. I'm going to be moderating for you guys today. In a moment, I'm going to introduce Allie, but just a quick couple of housekeeping items. Obviously, you want to keep your video on. You can change your view. So that in the top right-hand corner, there's something called speaker view or grid view, and that will allow you to see Allie when she speaks, just Allie, and not all the other pictures of people. So you can make that choice. You can also pin her. So if you hover again over her and click the three little dots, there's something called pin video, and that will just secure on her the entire time. So it's totally up to you. If you have questions, you can unmute yourself. We're also going to leave the last few minutes when Allie finishes for you to give feedback. So please don't run off when she's finished. We're going to take a few minutes to do that. And I think that is all. So I'm going to let the last few people in, and I will turn it over to Allie.
Okay. All right. Hi, guys. I hope you are all doing well at home. My name is Allie. I'm a physical therapist here in Boston, and I'm also a Pilates instructor. So today we're going to do a 30-minute class specific to back pain. And I do want to preface that at first. If anything doesn't feel good for you during this class, please take the modifications that I provide. I'm going to give a number of modifications, and the point is not to make your back hurt, so just take the right thing for your body today. We're also going to take a little bit of time at the end to go over some questions about ergonomics and what's the best setup to use for your back. But we'll start before then just going over a couple of stretches and exercises that we'll do now and you can use again later in your day to help manage some of the back pain. I know that most of you guys probably don't have the most ergonomic setups at home, and we're probably spending a lot more time on the couch than we're used to. And so that can lead to some stiffness in your lower back, also your neck and upper back as well. So what we're hoping to do today is to help loosen up your spine a little bit, maintain your flexibility, which can go a long way in managing lower back pain. So all you need for today's class is if you have a yoga mat, that would be excellent. You can lay it down on the floor. You don't need a yoga mat. You could also use a carpeted space in your house or even a hardwood floor. You can also, comfortable for up and down from the floor, you can go onto your couch. So find a comfortable space, and you'll just want to set up so that you can see me. I'm not really able to see all of you, unfortunately. So as long as you guys have a good sight of what's going on, we'll be ready to get started. So I'm going to have everybody lie down on your back to begin, and I'll stay seated just to give you guys some instructions. But you're going to lie down flat onto your back. And if you have any sensitivities in that position, you can always bend your knees and place your feet flat on the mat. I should also say that if you have a light pillow nearby and you want to use a pillow for your head or under your lower back, you can choose to do that now. So once everybody has set themselves up and you're lying down onto your back, take a moment to just settle in. I know this is coming in a little bit later in the day today, so maybe you've done quite a bit of time on your computer ago from what's happened today, and start to notice your body on the mat. And start to scan your body from the very top of your head all the way down from your toes. And know that there's no right or wrong. You're just taking note of what you feel in your body at this point in time. Then maybe spots of tension, any differences from side to side. And just notice that. And let your body really fall and melt down onto the mat. And as you continue to scan your body here, start to pay attention to your breath and notice where your breath is going. See if you can almost visualize your breath. And notice if maybe your breath is up high in your shoulders and your neck. You may even feel your shoulders elevating towards your ears as you breathe. type of breathing pattern is actually, it's called accessory breathing, and it's really meant to use only in extreme situations because it uses some of our neck muscles and our upper back muscles. So that can lead to a lot of tension around the neck and upper back. See if you send some of your breath down low belly, or maybe even wide outside in your rib cage. So feel expansion through the lower half of your body, and try to let perhaps even a little bit deeper with each breath. And as you exhale and let that breath go, see if you can feel your shoulder blades relax and glide down away from your ears. Good. Take one more deep breath here at your own pace. And then we'll start to settle into some movement. So if you are laying with your legs extended, please bend your knees and place your feet flat down on the mat at this time. We're going to start with a little bit of pelvic rocking. So think of rocking your pelvis and your tail towards your face and then lower it away. You're going to close the space under your low back by rocking your pelvis backwards and then letting it go in direction. You want to keep this within your comfortable pain-free range of motion. It may start really, really small, but as you continue to move, you may find that you can actually go through a bigger range of motion with less sensitivity. So just gently rocking front to back, starting to warm up this the low lumbar spine, and see if you can do this and also continue to pair your breathing. So finding those deep inhale breaths, expanding your rib cage, and exhaling to close your rib cage. And be gentle here. You can breathe at your own pace. There's no right or wrong way to breathe as long as you are breathing. We'll do 3 more here. Last 2. One more time. Hold here. We're going to start to now enter a little bit of rotation. So let your arms come down by your side. Feel your shoulders heavy on the mat. Start to rock your legs side to side. Again, only let your legs go as far as it feels comfortable for your back. You may find that your hips are lifting off the mat, but try and keep your shoulders down. That ensures that this rotation happens in your lumbar spine and not up higher in your upper back, your thoracic spine. So nice and easy, side to side. And again, you may find that you can go a little bit farther with each repetition. We'll do 3 more here. And 2 more. Last time, and draw the legs back through the center. Make sure your feet are parallel to one another and maintain the arms down by your side. We're going to go into our first strengthening exercise today. So when we think about lower back pain, there is a flexibility component, but there is also a strength component of the muscles that support our spine. One of the most important muscles to support our spine is our glute muscles, so our butt muscles. We're going to work them a little bit here and also add in a little hip flexor stretch by lifting our hips into a bridge. In this position, it's not uncommon to feel a little bit of sensitivity through your lower back. If that's the case, draw your rib cage down as though you are connecting your ribs to your hip bones with a little suspender. You can also take your hands to your butt muscles. Make sure that they're the ones that are actually working here. It should be your hip muscles, not your lower back. Once you feel comfortable in this position, drop your hips back down and lift your hips up to the ceiling. Again, drop your hips back down and lift your hips up to the ceiling. Keep this within your comfortable range, but see if maybe each time you lift your hips up, you can pull your hips up a tiny bit higher. Our hips, we spend most of the day with our hips bent in a seated position. This is the opposite, to press our hips up into extension. So while it is a strengthening exercise, we also get the benefit of a nice stretch to the front of our hips, our hip flexor muscles. We'll do 3 more repetitions here. Last 2, good. Last time, reach up and hold. Last little bit, if you feel comfortable, use your arms long over to add a nice little stretch to your spine, take a big breath in, and then as you come back down, instead of dropping your hips down, you're gonna roll your spine down one vertebrae at a time. So this time, imagine your spine like a string of pearls. You're gonna curl it up one vertebrae at a time and softly melt it back down. So imagine that you are stretching each little individual vertebrae one at a time as you're lifting and lowering back down. It can be helpful here to exhale while you lift up and inhale while you lower back down. Again, that's an exhale as you lift up and an inhale to lower back down. We'll do just one more here like that. Exhale to lift up and inhale, lower back down. Good. Return your arms back down by your side. We're now going to move into a brief set of abdominal work. So our abdominals are the muscles that are helped to stabilize our spine from the front of our body. We'll start by pressing down into our palms to open up our shoulders, keeping the broadness across the collarbones. Bring one leg to tabletop, bring the other leg to meet it. Make sure that your shoulders have not lifted off the mat. If this feels like enough of a challenge, stay here. Otherwise, you have the option to extend one leg out to the middle of the room and draw it back in. Switch to your second side, draw it back in. Now, if you are extending the legs and you feel your shoulders lifting off the mat, try reaching them up a little higher towards the ceiling. If this exercise is feeling easy, try extending your legs lower down towards the floor. We'll add in the breathing. Exhale to push out, inhale, bend in. Exhale to push out, inhale, bend in. 4 more. Exhale to push out, inhale to bend. Last 3. Exhale, push, inhale, bend for 2. Exhale, push, inhale, bend. Last time. Place your feet down and take a little rest. Nice job, guys. From here, we're gonna roll over onto your stomach. Once again, this is a new position. This is an extension of our spine, which is the opposite of what we experience most of the day when we're sitting. If this right off the bat doesn't feel good for your lower back, put a pillow right underneath your hip. Otherwise, we're gonna lie down, place your hands flat underneath your shoulders. From here, separate your feet and turn your heels together, toes apart. So you have a wide V shape with your legs. We're gonna start to lift the spine up and lower the spine back down by pushing into our hands. And again, this is just meant to be a stretch. Your range of motion is likely gonna be quite different than my range of motion and your neighbor's range of motion. Just start to explore your back. Maybe you're able to actually push up and straighten your arms and extend your back here, and then lower yourself back down. This is one of the best bang for your buck kind of stretches for your back, because you're getting your upper back and your lower back and even a little bit into your neck all in this exercise. And this is the opposite posture of what we spend all of our days doing in sitting. So I recommend keeping this stretch in the back of your mind as something that maybe you add in throughout your day when we take posture breaks, and we'll talk about that a little bit later at the end of class. For now, we'll do just about 2 more. Good. And last time here, and lower all the way down. Excellent. From here, we're gonna come up into the all fours position. When you set up in the all fours position, you want your hands directly underneath your shoulders and your knees directly underneath your hips. If you have wrist sensitivity, it's okay to do this exercise down on your forearms. If you have knee sensitivity, try and use the pillow or maybe roll up your yoga mat a couple of times and place it underneath your knees. From here, we're going to move through a couple of cat camels or cat cows. So think about drawing your spine up to the ceiling and actually letting your head and neck relax a little bit here. You can even shake your head side to side. Let gravity do the work, your spine down slightly. And then start to let your belly drop down. Think of pulling your shoulder blades down by your ears, opening up your. From your rib cage, lift your spine up, rounding, and drop your spine down, opening. Move within your comfortable range of motion, and just make sure you're breathing here. There's really no right or wrong way to breathe in this pattern. Let it be natural, and still think about sending that breath down into your belly and your rib cage. We'll move through 3 more here, and dropping back down, and 2 more, drop back down, and 1 more time, and come right back in through the center. We're going to introduce a little bit of rotation to this movement now, and the rotation is actually to help your upper back and neck. So lighten up on your right hand, put the weight into your left hand, and start to reach the right arm open to the ceiling. From here, you're going to take your right arm, thread it underneath your left arm, and reach through. You can even let your head and shoulder come down onto the mat. Then again, we open up out to the side, find a big stretch, and thread your hand under and through. Allow your head and neck to rest down on the mat. Lift up again, find a nice stretch to open your chest, and lower back down. If you find any shoulder sensitivity here, keep a soft bend in your elbow. This stretch really is more about moving your rib cage and your back more than your shoulder itself. And we'll finish with this one on this side. And then come back through the center. Place the weight down into your right hand now, and then begin to open up to the left. From here, you thread your hand underneath, reach through, allow your head and neck to rest down, and then draw your arm open, reach up to the ceiling. You may find a big difference in range of motion from side to side with this exercise, and that's totally normal. We usually have one side, especially our dominant side, that we tend to use for reaching across our body and such, and that will lead to a little bit more flexibility on that side compared to the other. We have 2 more here. Good, guys. And 1 more time, big breath in, and let it go. Thread that arm through, and then come all the way on up. From here, we're going to transition into a seated position. If you find that your hips are super, super tight, you can sit on a block, on a pillow. You can even sit in a chair to do this exercise. If you can crisscross your legs, do so here, or you can find your feet in a diamond shape. So whatever is comfortable for your body, we'll come to a seated position. So far during this class, we have focused on rounding spine, straightening the spine, and twisting the spine. There's one more spine movement that we haven't explored yet, and that's side bending. So that's moving side to side. We're going to work on that a little bit here. So I'd like you to imagine that you're in the panes of a toaster. So you're sitting up nice and tall, your spine is in the panes of a toaster, and you reach your arms wide out to the side. From here, you plant one arm down, reach up and over, and then we're going to go right to the other side. Our spines in the beginning of stretching can actually be a little bit sensitive to what we call static stretching, where we stay in one position for a long time. Our spines actually respond well to this type of dynamic stretching, where we're continuously moving in and out of a range of motion. Now notice if, as you're moving here, your body is starting to round forward. Remember the panes of the toaster up, and you want to stay up nice and tall, just reaching sideways. 4 more repetitions here, and 3, 2, and 1, and we'll come through the center. We're going to add a small rotation here. So plant your right arm down, reach your left arm up. From here, we're going to break that toaster oven and reach down towards the floor, and then open our arm out to the side. Reaching down towards the floor and opening back up. 4 more times like this on this side. and feel your rib cage actually starting to spin around your spine. You can imagine your spine like a wet towel that you're trying to wring out as you twist down. And one more on this side. We lift up to the center and we dive up and over to the left. From here, we plant the right arm down, open out to the side. We plant the right arm down and open out to the side. Very nice, guys. We'll do 4 more here. And just again, take note of any side-to-side differences. Remember that as we move here, we're moving our rib cage, and our rib cage moves when we breathe. So to add to the stretch, big breath at your own pace. And we'll do 1 more repetition here. And come all the way back to the center. Excellent. We're going to come up to kneeling. And again, if you have any sensitivity to kneeling on your knees, fold your yoga mat over a couple of times. I will also demonstrate this exercise in standing in just a moment. So the last thing we're going to work on today is stretching our hip flexor muscles. And our hip flexor muscles, they actually come from the very bottom of our knee all the way up, and they attach to our lumbar spine, our lower back. And those muscles are tight. They play a big role in how our back feels. So in order to stretch those muscles, we're going to start drawing your right foot forward, your left foot back. We'll be stretching our left hip flexor in this case. And again, if you have knee sensitivity, I will show you the standing version in just a moment. From here, you're going to rotate your left hip forward, grow tall through your spine, and draw your rib cage down and in, just like we did when we practiced bridging. From here, hinge forward until you feel a light stretch in the front of your left hip. You can also add a little contraction of your left glute, your left butt muscle, to add to that stretch. Once you have found it, you can also extend your arm up tall overhead on the left and reach down to the floor, bending over to the right. By adding this little bit of spinal movement, it actually increases the stretch because this muscle attaches up so high on our lumbar spine. Now, as promised, you can actually do this stretch in standing as well. You just need a little bit of balance, and you always have the option of holding onto a chair or a countertop next to you. So we'll come out of that stretch here and try the second side, placing your left foot forward. Go ahead and draw the spine up tall. Rotate your right hip forward, left hip backwards to square off your hips. Get tall through your spine, this time engaging your right glute muscle just gently and hinging forward until you feel the stretch in the front of your right hip. To add that overhead spine movement, reach your right arm overhead, left arm down towards the floor, and side bend just slightly as though you're going to pick up something off the floor. This stretch, I would recommend that you hold it between 30 and 45 seconds. You can do this once or twice throughout your day, but like I said, it's really beneficial to allow the front of your hip to open. These muscles get super, super tight from the seated position. So we'll hold for 1 more breath here, and then come all the way out of it. Awesome, guys. So I wanted to show all those stretches as you can use throughout your day. So when we talk about what's the best ergonomics for home, I'm going to show you guys with the chair in a moment. But one of the #1 recommendations I can make for you, no matter how perfect your posture is, you shouldn't stay in that one posture for too long. I recommend once an hour trying to get up, and it doesn't mean get up and go for a 5-minute walk. It means literally maybe you get up, you go to the bathroom, you get a sip of water. You're just getting up to change your position and back to what you're doing. On top of that, maybe once or twice throughout your workday, you pick a couple of the stretches that we went through today that feel good for you, and you add in some additional stretching. So that's where you take maybe more like your 5-minute break. You walk around a little bit, you pick a couple of the stretches from today. That can really help to reverse some of the changes that we see when your body spends a lot of time sitting in that flexed posture. Now, that being said, we can certainly go over a couple of tips of how to improve the ergonomics of your work from home setup. So I'm just going to pull over my chair for a moment here and show you guys a couple things. So if you are sitting on your couch or you have a desk chair, I'm going to grab a pillow as well. It's helpful to be able to find some support for your back. So naturally, we all kind of end up in these slumpy seated positions. You're looking to have about a right angle at your hips and your lower back. So whatever pillow support you need, you want to be able to find that. And then you would also like a right angle at your feet. And so you want your chair to be low enough to be able to plant your feet down on the floor. So that's kind of our lower half of the body setup of what we're looking for. When it comes to the upper half of the body, it's a little tricky. And it's especially tricky when we're using laptops at home, because we find this tricky balance between having the screen height at the right position for our neck and having the keyboard height at the right position for our arms. If you're lucky enough to have an external keyboard setup, I strongly recommend that you use it because it really eliminates that problem. You can easily have your keyboard at the right height and your screen at the right height without disrupting your daily functionality. That being said, a lot of us don't have the luxury of doing that. We're working off a laptop for most of our day. So if you're seated out, you don't have a desk or anything in front of you, I recommend that you use your pillows to kind of build up your desk until you can put your laptop about your chest height. That way it's close enough that you don't have to reach forward to see anything, but it's also not high enough that you're typing up here and you end up with neck and shoulder pain. So right about chest height is sort of the sweet spot. If you do have a desk, I would recommend getting your screen height up high enough so that you're not looking down all day. You can make really simple changes by stacking boxes or textbooks underneath your computer to give you that nice level screen to look at. And then just take breaks when it comes to your arms. Your arms are going to get tired. You may even lose a little bit of circulation holding them up. Just give yourself breaks. I find it's a lot better to have the good neck posture, perfect shoulder posture. But again, that's a little different for everyone. Last recommendation I can make is if you have the option of having a little bit of extra counter space at your house, stand for a part. I know a lot of you have standing desk setups at your offices. Find a countertop in your house, put a shoe on top, and stand and type on your laptop for a part of the day. Do wonders for the lower back especially, and it just gets your muscles working a little bit more in a different position. Even if it's just an hour or two out of your day, it can make a big impact to just do a new posture. So those are some of the general questions I had from our morning session. Let's see some of the specific questions you guys have about exercises, about back pain, ergonomics.
Do you have any suggestions for pain in the neck? Because I've noticed every time I sit for a few hours, I start wanting to do this.
Yes, that's a great question. And that this morning as well. So one of the number one things I can recommend for our neck is that actually our necks themselves tend to be quite flexible. Another reason we have neck pain is our upper backs get really stiff and it's just on our neck. The exercise we did today in position where you're twisting, that's exercise to stretch your upper back. That alone can take away a lot of pressure from what our neck is experiencing. I think the other side of that is to get your screen height up high enough. There's no way that you're going to sit with good posture if you're having to look down at your computer all day. So definitely take a peek at your screen height.
Other questions? Allie, I have a question. What is your opinion on some of those mechanisms that you can buy to, I don't know, roll your back or, you know, or even roll on the ground on your back? Are those gimmicks or are those helpful?
Yeah. That's a good question too. I love the use of foam rollers for the back. I almost actually tried to include some of that here, but I just didn't know how universal foam would be for people at home. But there are some awesome stretches that you can do your upper back roller. And it's also a really nice release of sort of a self-massage technique that can be really beneficial, even just from a symptom management standpoint. It's not something that necessarily makes you better, but it does make you feel good in the moment, and that makes a difference in your ability to get through the day.
I've got a question along a similar nature. You know how you can almost get those back support things that kind of pull your shoulders in?
Sorry, say that one more time.
Virginia, maybe you could type it in the chat. You're breaking up pretty good.
Yeah.
While Virginia's doing that, was there another question, Aaron?
Oh yeah, I had a very quick question. What would you do for like lower back pain on the left side, like specifically on the left? Like I don't know.
That's
like
a good question.
Yeah.
Is it something that's constant? You're finding it throughout your day, or just in certain positions?
Throughout the day, like if I'm walking, I can feel the pain. I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah, so it's pretty common to have back pain that is on just one side. I would still go through all of the stretches that we've done, but I think if it's something persistent like that, I would certainly consult with your doctor, maybe follow up with PT. But also just notice when you're going through those stretches, if you have a big difference side to side, maybe you need to spend a little bit of extra time on your left side relative to the right. And also say to notice if you're crossing your legs consistently one way, or you're sort of always sitting, leaning to one side. You can make your body getting more, and it's you even notice it until you start to tune into those little things.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
So Allie, this is Virginia's question. Let's see, a similar question around the back support braces you wear to pull shoulders back. Do you think they are worth investing in if you have sore upper back?
Yes and no. It's a tricky question. I think that they're beneficial in the sense that they remind you of good posture. So it's going to be a tactile reminder all day that's telling you, oh, pull your shoulders back, pull your shoulders back. But I think that it's not a substitute for some of the stretching and the exercises as the foundation of really what your body needs. It sort of acts as an interim to hold you up while you have it on, but without the strengthening of your upper back plus stretching, as soon as you take that brace off, the benefit is lost. So I think it's helpful in the moment as that tactile reminder. But it's not a fix in the sense that it's not giving you any sort of change to your body. It's just giving you reminders. So paired with the kinds of things we worked on today, it'd be great.
I have a question. How often do you repeat these exercises throughout the week? And also, like, if you keep doing the same exercises, may not be as, effective. So is there like anything you can recommend online or an app that we can follow, or if you have any links?
Yeah, sure. So in terms of frequency, I would recommend that you try and there's really no upper limit, I should say, for these types of stretches. You could do them 10 times a day. But at a minimum, I would recommend that you try and get them in once or twice a day. And on the days that you're working, I think it's important that you get it in every day. If it's the weekend, about a lot of walking and you may not need these stretches, but for days where you're spending a majority of the time sitting, I think it's essential that you get them in. In terms of progression, I think the stretches themselves will continue to be of benefit to you just because they're gentle, and sometimes our back needs that gentle stretch. But from a strengthening perspective, there's a lot that you can expand on. I'm obviously a little bit biased as a Pilates instructor. There's a lot of awesome Pilates classes out there right now. But I think any form of physical activity that you can do that has a strengthening component is beneficial for your back. I mean, a big part of what we experience with our back is weakness. And so any sort of strengthening that you get throughout your extremities, through your trunk and core, it's going to help you. So if you like boxing, you like yoga, all of those things are good. It's just good to stay active and stay strong.
Thank you.
Sure.
One question I have is on certain stretches, my right side seems comfortable, and on certain stretches, left side seemed comfortable. Is that like a pure off balance of how my postures are, or any thoughts on those?
So it can be, and our bodies are never going to be perfectly symmetrical, especially when it comes to the upper body, because our arms play such different roles. We have our dominant arm that we use for a lot of fine motor tasks, and then we've got our strong arm that you're using to sort of carry all your heavy stuff. So you'll notice inherently that there are differences from side to side, but you may also have differences. Some of our exercises looked at us bending sideways versus us rotating. Those are two very, very different movements from a biomechanical standpoint of what happens in our spine. So it's, again, normal to have those differences, but you may see, oh, wow, this one, when I go sideways, I've got a lot of movement on the left, but when I twist, I have a lot of movement on the right. That can happen. And again, it's just related to how we use our bodies and what types of movements you're commonly doing in those types of planes.